Welcome everyone, this video is all about an aquarium blackout. Now if you haven't heard of a blackout, it's not when I'm going to pass out, it's not when the power cuts out or anything like that. It's a way we can treat algae, so algae blooms within a planted tank. It's a really good, effective way of getting rid of that algae, and it's safe for all your fish, it's safe for your plants, nothing can go wrong, I think. And yeah, it's a great technique. I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. So the result behind me is totally my fault. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I put a picture on Instagram of this tank. It was new, it was about 3 or 4 weeks old, it'd been planted up, everything was growing nice. And Big Mouth here went along and said, everything's going fine, tank's stable, looking good. Well, a week later, this is what we've got. Now, the fertiliser actually started to back siphon the water, so for about a week I wasn't fertilising the tank and I didn't realise. So I had loads of light, had plenty of CO2, but I didn't have the food there for the plants to grow. And as a result, algae's grabbed hold of everything it can. It's now growing over the leaves faster than the leaves are growing. And without some kind of change, this tank's not going to get any better. Now, I love this technique. It's really quick, so a lot of methods that you might use to treat algae can take a few weeks. So if I'm just changing one parameter, or maybe I'm doing like more cleaning, that kind of thing, it can take several weeks for that to actually take effect and you to see any visible results. Whereas a blackout method, within 4 days, I can go from a hair algae covered scape like this, sort of back to scratch. So it's really quick. Another positive is that plants will be fine. There's no chance. So if I'm using a chemical like hydrogen peroxide, I could overdose that. I could kill the plants. I could waste lots of money, lots of time, and really do bad things with it. So it's better than chemicals. It can't kill the fish either. Fish can live for days without light. That's fine. There's no problem whatsoever. And basically, if you follow these simple steps I'm going to show you, there's not a lot that can go wrong. So you can walk away from your tank and in 4 days you can come back and actually have really good results. The final thing I'm going to say is it's a really simple technique to follow. So I'm going to fast forward a few bits here for you, just give you a basic time lapse of what I'm doing. All I'm going to do is give the tank a good manual clean first. So I'm going to remove as much of this hair algae as I can with a siphon, change a large amount of water, give all the glass a wipe down. I'm then going to do the same for the filter. So I've got an Awazi filter on this tank, so I'm going to remove the pre-filter, take a lot of detritus out of that, basically give myself the best possible chance that when I turn the lights back on in this tank in 4 days, it doesn't just revert back to how it was. With this hobby, with this sort of ecosystem, there's always a reason why you get algae, and it's always an imbalance of something. So you might have too much light, or you might have not enough food, or you might have too little flow, or the CO2 might not be enough. There's always a reason behind it. So to just do a blackout and then start again exactly how it was, we're not going to achieve anything. So the idea behind this is resetting the tank, but also changing some parameter that isn't right, so that the tank's back on track. I did forget to mention that cyanobacteria is another really good algae, or say algae is bacteria, that responds to this treatment. So cut the light, and within 4 days is a really good way to cure it. Right guys, finally all we want to do is turn off your CO2. If you're injecting CO2, make sure that's off, because with no light and loads of CO2, if you've got fish, they're going to suffocate, so make sure that is off. The other thing to turn off is your light, that's it. I'm going to leave my first dose in throughout. You could turn them off, but for 4 days I'm not going to mess around. So the ferts will continue, the filter continues, the heater within the filter, obviously if you've got fish. In this case I haven't, but you want to keep that the same. They will all stay on, so the only thing to turn off is your CO2 and your light. Now the next step is very, very technical. I've got some black bin liners, refuge sacks, whatever you want to call them, trash can sacks, I don't know, anything. And I'm going to use them to wrap the tank completely so no light gets in there for 4 days. Now this treatment won't work if the tank isn't completely covered, and whilst it's covered, you don't peek, you don't feed the fish, you don't do anything. So make sure no light gets in that tank, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. And the great thing about bin liners is the static holds them to the tank. Last but not least, I'm going to use a towel just to put over the top. So obviously make sure it's not in your water, because that's going to start to wick the water out and soak wherever you've got your tank. But yeah, I'm going to bring the light forward a little bit so it supports the towel, and then just cover it completely up. Right guys, so there you have it, a completely covered up tank. It's in my fish room, so for me it's not much of an eyesore. I'm going to shut the door in a bit. I'll come in once a day to do a little bit of maintenance on my small tank, but on this one, really, I can turn the main light off and I know no light's going to get in there. So all I've got to do now is turn the light off under here and leave it for 4 days. Don't peek, don't look, don't feed your fish, don't do anything. Make sure no light gets in that tank. And in 4 days I'll be back to show you the results.